Hello, folks. Welcome to yet another episode of Movie Herald podcast. We have the director of this movie called 1888, Mr. Sourabh, and we have the cinematographer, Mr. Pradeep. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
So usually, you know that I will actually give you a long introduction about who they are and what this and what the movie is all about and all those things. But today I have not done that. So I just did that on purpose because this movie 1888 has been released in this OTT platform called Movie Saints. So I had an opportunity to watch that particular movie and I quite enjoyed it. So I just wanted to have a conversation with the director of the movie and cinematographer of the movie. And it would be, not fair for me to say a lot about that movie rather than the technicians of the movie to say about it. The reason being is, not only it's an interesting film, it's an indie film, it's an independent film, and the technique used is guerrilla filmmaking. See, the reason I wanted to have this podcast is we have been speaking about, the zero budget filmmaking and a lot of other things. Whenever we want to make a movie, or whenever a technician or a writer or a movie maker is coming about talking about making a movie, the first point comes is we had the budget constraints. I think in one of the interviews, Anurag Kashyap has told that the more budget constraint you have is where you get more creativity. And I actually enjoyed that movie, and I started with no expectations because I haven't seen the trailer, or I had no clue about it. And the platform Movie Saints actually gave me the screener link to watch that movie, to review. So I was indifferent when watching the initial cut of the movie. I had okay, it's an independent movie. Let's see, it's a new platform. They wanted people to review the movie. But as I watched the movie, I actually enjoyed the filmmaking. I actually enjoyed the writing, the scripting, and after a point, you don't feel like it is a independent movie at all. It has every quality of a proper filmmaking. I'm not going to say this is if you watch that movie, it looks like a grand movie. No, it is not. It's just a small movie, and you can see how they put their heart and soul in that movie. And I quite enjoyed it. See, while saying all this, you might think it is a, when I say about the independent movie, you might think okay, it's some art house movie. It is not. It's a commercial movie. I quite enjoyed the twists and turns. It had all those commercial values. So first thing which hit me is that most of the time when we talk about independent movie, it is always the art house movies. And you get the kind of sense okay, they have made, you have to force yourself to watch the movie. And that was not the case while watching 1888. I quite enjoyed it. And usually we'll have the climax for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or elaborate 30 minutes climax. But here, the climax started in the second half. It was unveiling, and I felt okay, now this is it. What next? There is nothing to show here. Then, as the movie unfolds, I quite enjoyed the twists and turns, and it's it is like an elaborate ruse. So I kind of enjoyed it. So I wanted you guys to talk about it. And first of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So I want you both to introduce yourself to our audience and what kind of things you have been doing and how you ended up in this movie. You can just give a very brief about this movie because I don't want you to talk a lot about this movie because that will take away the joy of watching this movie. So please go ahead.
Yeah. Hello, Vanakkam. My name is Sourabh, and 1888, as Gopalji has already introduced, is a feature film I've made in the Guerilla style. Before this, I have an engineering background. I've done my engineering, and then I think filmmaking has always been a side passion. I remember even when at a time when YouTube was not very popular, we would just take those were the days where we would have handy cams. and just shoot movies in that. Just try editing on Windows Movie Maker, putting some serials background score, and try coming up with a movie and try to make sense out of it. So that passion has always been there. I've also been part of attending film societies, movie screenings. So it's somewhere been there. I've enjoyed both art house or what we call parallel films and mainstream films, and somewhere it was always there. Okay, we should make an effort, but then the big problem has always been like, okay, how do we get into it? It's like that mystery, it's like that black box, because there are people know that there are a lot of things floating around about the industry, call it rumors or true stories. So that thing has always been there. How do we make it? I don't have a background in filmmaking. I don't come from a family which is a family of filmmakers. My dad is an engineer, mom is a homemaker. No one not even in the range of 250 kilometers in my family has that background. So the question was always there. But thanks to digital filmmaking revolution, where it's become, today we can even shoot on an iPhone. I think it's easier, at least the creative part, where you can make a film. So that's how, with friends, got together, like-minded friends, discussing ideas like, let's make a short film, and then it graduates to becoming a slightly longer film and a feature film, and that's how 188 happened. So yeah, basically an engineer, and this was my side hustle, but yeah, I have given it my best.
Great.
So yeah, for me, basically I'm from Chennai. So what happened is I got graduated from film school. So I have some technical knowledge about filmmaking, and also my graduation was through it, and I assisted few films over here. So what happened is after some time you just feel like you're gonna go independent and searching for chances. And one fine day I got a call from my friend. So he said the shooting is in Bangalore, and of no idea, I just went there. I didn't ask them who's the producer, what is going to do. But I know these people is going to make something, because they are talking about films from a long time. So I went to Bangalore, and then I saw the team. I went through the script. Then I understand, oh my God, this is going to be something different. This is not what I usually going to make. Because for me, it is like basically how a call sheet works.
Yeah.
And how all the things like from production, camera unit, everything comes here and work through the whole day, and then pack up. But here it is not like that. So whenever we plan, okay, today it's night shoot, who are all available, okay, then we'll go for the shoot. And that was quite challenging actually. The thing is that in Bangalore there are certain places where basically Bangalore is quite crowded.
Yeah.
But that crowd is held in only certain part of Bangalore. Apart from that, it's completely isolated. So we got enough chances to shoot. So that's how. And one more interesting part was the locations we chose. The locations we chose are very apt to make films like this. Like we shot something in Kolar. We shot somewhere near what is that place called? We shot that fight sequence and something like that. Madhugiri. And all those places which I have never seen before. So for me, completely, whenever I placed the camera, the frame was so good. So I like every day it was quite exciting for us to do something new. Whenever we go out of the home, we'll feel like, okay, we are going to something like how a journalist will go to get some proper news. No, it will be like that. We have to be on tip of our toe. We just have to go rush, take the best shot out of it. And thing is that the artists who worked in this, they were very cooperative. Without them, we couldn't have made this film like possible, because they didn't have any attitude while working. And that is where like a guerrilla filmmaking will actually work. If the artists are not cooperating well, then nothing would happen like this. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a very wonderful insight, because I had these questions before getting into guerrilla filmmaking. I had this interesting question, like which you mentioned about, like I know I have been to Bangalore a couple of times, but I have never seen any place without people. Like even at I have traveled at like around 2 a.m. in the night, 3 a.m. in the night, especially from the airport and the Chikajala fort and all those places. It will be always
Crowded.
Traffic, always crowd. I was like, for God's sake, it's 2 a.m. in the morning. And still I'm waiting for a traffic. So it was wonderful, and I know that it is not some sets, because
There's
if you
no
can
set
afford
at
to do
all.
that, then you cannot call it an independent film.
Yeah.
So despite that, I was able to like how you were able to find that places. So I think that is where your insight about the entire city being a local boy helped you.
Yeah. For sure.
Because one thing we would say is whenever we start, okay, today we are planning to make a movie, no, like today, okay, we're gonna shoot something. First thing we plan ourselves is like just get out of the city first. Wherever there is no crowd and wherever there is limited crowd, where the city is under development, just go there, and then we will think how we gonna make the scene.
Right.
Like that we planned actually, and the whole thing happened like that.
Interesting, because if you see all the locations, you can't find any difference, and it looks very natural.
That is-
Because if you are going to a place like that, that is how it will be. It's not something like manufactured to look different. So, and you might not actually recognize the place, but you know that this is the similar place in similar cities.
Right.
So that authenticity actually added some value to the movie, in my opinion. Also, when it comes to guerrilla filmmaking, how when you go to a regular shoot, getting the production managers, seeing recce, and then you have to go to that place and get the proper
So it was
permissions
basically
and all those
like an
things.
unplanned trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like
So it was successful.
it's literally like a trip. You see, even the movie has a journey. There's a trip.
Yeah. It
So
does,
even
it
this
does.
is like our whole thing was like the car journey, where in fact, I mean things like Pradeep rightly mentioned, call sheet, unit, caravan, that car was also the caravan in the movie, where it's like, okay, you turn that side, we'll park the car somewhere, go change the costumes. What are costumes? One day before or in the morning, my co-actors, the lead actors are like, bro, will this shirt work? Green area, green shirt. No. Let there be some. By then we had understood some contrast, because we would even share it with Pradeep. He has a sense of obviously lighting and
obviously.
So we like, will the shirt work? Okay, what are the options? The disadvantage of guerrilla filmmaking also come here. Like one particular shirt, I think it got stained or something, and for continuity we need it.
Okay.
Now we don't have a costumer. We are only the actors, the director. We are only the costumers. Now what do? We'll try to cheat. Okay, if it's a white shirt, get a white t-shirt. Maybe we take shots of, say the back shot.
Okay.
So things like that. So this is how it was done. So every day, one day, most basic thing also happened, right? Everything is ready. We are going. Batteries have drained out, but then we still have to shoot. We still actually did make ways. We even shot few, including lighting. You won't believe has happened with mobile lighting, right? Car, we just park and keep the lights on.
Because what happens is we will take the lights and the battery would drain out. And we can't charge it because we will be somewhere in the middle of.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about the one particular, the elaborate fight sequence where they actually get that parcel. So I was looking, there is no way you can carry a big light there. And even if you're carrying some big light, especially in dark places, when the light is there, you can see the difference in terms of faces. It was so natural, like at some point you don't even recognize faces, and that is how it will be in a dark place.
Yeah.
So I kind of felt that was an interesting thing, because I'm being honest with you, a couple of this choreography, especially that the so-called villain characters, he does extremely good stunts, and that looked more out of place, because even the hero's stunts, he'll be struggling. It looked so natural. But apart from that, I see that entire thing represents people, and that is how, when you are put in that kind of situation, you will react. Because you don't, especially later comes the reveal and all those things, you don't take action. You will always have that thought of either to take action or not. So that moment you need to have that face reaction to be
Visible,
captured.
yeah.
At the same time, you don't see lights.
Right.
So I can say that somehow you kind of managed to because there is no place you can bring that kind of a power to there.
Yeah, we can't.
So how actually that shot was composed?
I'll tell you an interesting thing about that fight. Will you believe that there are 3 different locations used in that fight, and they are like 250 kilometers apart.
Wow.
So again, one of the things about guerrilla filmmaking, we don't take permissions where we go and shoot. We just shoot. If a cop is coming, if I can tell this on record, it's like try some adjustment. Where our adjustment was, one of the actors, Pradeep, the lead, he has this. I think he had a press card or something. So it helps. I'm from the press, or I'm shooting a short film, YouTube film, and our camera setup is like that. We are using Sony Alpha 7 S, and it's not like not an Arri or that kind of a camera. So people will believe it also. So we were shooting in one place which we realized later, it was a place about 100 plus kilometers from Bangalore, near Tumkur. It was a fort, and it was dilapidated and looked like no one is coming there. People at the most come there to drink or some things like that. We started shooting. One fine day, some lady comes and tells, you need archaeological department permission. And for that shooting, that was one of the shots or scenes we had really planned. We had got a red Dragon camera, and we had got few folks there. And then we were chased away, literally chased away. And we like, okay, all the money is going to go waste. What do we do? Then again, local boy sentiment and angle helps here. Some recce, and we found a temple in Electronic City, which is another end of Bangalore.
This is like...
we like, okay, we can cheat. We had some idea, and we actually went and finished so the chase, literally you come out from place and enter another place. That is like 2 different locations, and then again with the lighting. So it's and it was again on the spot. I have a background in martial arts, so that helps.
See, that I actually can understand, because the movements that person is actually doing, if you don't know martial arts, you cannot do that. And that kind of, makes an impact in the climax when we are revealing something else.
Right. But we are very, very clear about one thing that we had is, we are not going to do the typical action sequence where there will be a lot of zooming in, zooming out. If you see, there's no slow motion there.
Yeah.
It happens. They might look exotic and nice, but it just ends there. And I felt it kind of was like the middle path we chose with the kind of filmmaking and that kind of thing. And of course, the lead actors also, they have a background in martial arts. So it was on the spot. Okay, you're running from here. What will happen? Okay, you jump, you flip, you land. So those kind of things, it was all on spot. No ropes, no VFX. No
that
safety.
I can understand.
Yeah,
And see, the thing is, like, when you see a person who understands and learnt martial art performing certain stunt, will be entirely different from a person who has not performed. Basically, if you just see the kicks, if if a person who has not learnt martial arts, you cannot have a straight leg. The leg will always be like, especially in the toe and this part, it will be loose. How much?
Not have that stretch.
Yes, and that will be very visible when you are actually having a shoes. So most of the time it will be cheated. But if you know a person who actually knows martial arts, you can see that leg in a perfect way, and the front part will be stiff. So that kind of things and all the vaults, it was very visible that he knows that.
Yes.
And at the same time, the other person, the Pratap character, he was not at all fighting. And that actually, at one point, especially when I was watching movie, I thought like, why is not fighting? At least they made some very great, movements for this guy. They could have made something for this guy. Like I had this, like I was actually noting down, like they should have done this. Why didn't you do? But when you see in post the interval, it all made sense.
Makes sense. Yeah.
See, that is where the beauty of the filmmaking and beauty of the writing is. And I actually, when you mentioned about, using Sony Alpha camera, I had this thought like, okay, if you're using Alpha camera, how did you actually shot that night shot? But then you mentioned, because if you haven't shot in red, you cannot get that clarity. Because that was an important scene where because entire story unfolds there. So that was a very interesting thing. So actually, what exactly is called guerrilla filmmaking? So I want to know what you feel about it, because if you go to online and see what is guerrilla filmmaking, you know the definition.
Right.
See, that is, everybody knows that. But from a personal perspective, what according to you is a guerrilla filmmaking?
Right. I think that's a very valid question, and like you said, there is a set definition on the internet. But if I look at it one way, like, who's a guerrilla also, by the way? He's not like when you talk about, say, a guerrilla army, it's not a regular army. It's not the regular way of doing things. So this filmmaking approach, I feel, is of course, the primary thing most people cite is budget. But I feel one of the reasons we chose guerrilla filmmaking is also because of the constraints and the fact that we are not working with the regular or a mainstream industry. We are a team, we are 3-4 guys. Obviously, we have to don multiple hats. We have to play multiple roles. You might be the director, you might also be the driver. You are the cameraman, you don't have any assistant, you only have to manage the focus, everything, right? Lighting, focus, everything. The producer is, he's also doing the production design. Choreography, we are all sharing. So things like that. So this is what guerrilla filmmaking is. It is like you use whatever resources you have, work within your constraints. It's like a startup.
Yeah.
Where I remember one of the startup guys he was saying the CEO himself would open the shutter, sweep the floor, and he's a CEO.
Yeah.
They're 3 guys. So this is how it is. We share all our resources. We have a limited budget, obviously, and resources not just people but also like the equipment and things like that. Our car only becomes a caravan. And then we also, but it's also known that a certain subject, this is what it suits. I cannot make a KGF or a big movie like Leo in guerrilla filmmaking style.
Correct.
So with guerrilla filmmaking style, we know what our subject is, what kind of treatment will be there. And I think you also already mentioned a point that because of these constraints, I know I will try to be more creative. I'll try to give my best in terms of content.
Correct.
And it's a new team. Obviously, guerrilla filmmaking will, I think, probably not be tried by a seasoned studio team or film. Maybe few shots, maybe few scenes. So because we are getting creative, we can experiment. We could afford to let's not do this, let's try this, or let's try to have this kind of a climax or this kind of a scene. And that's I'm not taking permissions, just going with the flow, ad hoc. Like we have planned today. Okay, let's have say the the lead actor and the lead actress sit in a cafe and talk. But for some reason, I think, okay, this cafe is there. I go on a Friday and realize it's shut down. Some reason. We've already got the camera. We've paid the rent. The team is ready. We have got their dates. Now we can't afford to cancel the shoot. We'll just go a little ahead, see if there's another cafe or go to a dhaba. Does the scene or dialogue needs change as per that? On the spot, change it. So a lot of ad hoc filmmaking, a lot of working with the constraints, resources, also thinking creatively and strategically.
Yeah.
It needs a lot of thinking how to work with that. Like I said, some places there's no light, batteries in out. We actually creatively used mobile light. 3-4 guys put all your mobile lights together. We're like, okay, edit, we can play around, do something, kind of. So that thing has to be there. Yeah,
it's wonderful.
That's what I think. Yeah.
And also the people were very cooperative. Whenever we go and ask for permissions in some cafes, they were really helpful for us. So that was really
Right.
It's more
certain
like,
shots were so good when we see the kind of backgrounds what we have now.
Yeah.
That all just came out for us.
Right.
We just went and asked permission and they said, okay, don't disturb others thing and just you can go shoot on.
And they were only most of them, if you see, apart from few friends who were acting, all of them were like people who actually play that role in a daily life. Like the person in a hotel who's the owner or the waiter, they're actually waiters. We request them. There's a shot where you just have to come and do this, and they did a good job. They do their job. It looks natural. They're not like extras or
exactly. See, that was another thing when the lovers, they were like the leads, when they will be talking in the coffee shop, and the heroine will be like mad at him about talking. I felt that shot was more natural because nobody is like acting per se, because they will be doing their own job and they don't even care about this. And especially see, one might say like, this is a very common thing, why are you talking, why are you glorifying that? See, this is a common thing for a big budget movie because they put so much effort for that to happen natural. But an independent film, we try to make the most out of what is happening, and we are not having the seasonal actors. Like if you go for a big budget film, all the 100 people are junior artists. They know what they're doing. Here we cannot afford to do that. So common people, they get curious and they just disturb the scene. So that is it's an interesting thing to make it without them knowing about it.
Yeah, that bar scene, you remember? That guy was the security guard. We had this bar scene. That was the toughest one full day we took. And then there was a security guy who was very enthusiastic. Film shoot, I want to be a part. Like, okay, we'll place him as a drunkard. And then he got enthusiastic. We place him as a drunkard and he's I think he had a dialogue.
Just one dialogue.
One passing shot. And he was I remember, I think Om Shanti or some movie where Shah Rukh Khan is extra, he does this over. we were just not getting it right because we were so enthusiastic. But I think apart from few things like this, otherwise it was pretty manageable because even we have to be patient. We know our limitations. So.
Exactly. So somebody is like,
oh yeah. Like, Yenna ni, I think there was a dialogue. Yarna ni. The dialogue. And he was like, he was like doing overacting. Like, otherwise he was nice, but in front of the camera he was becoming very conscious.
see, that is the thing. Like most of the people, they will be talking very good. You can see the kind of performance they are when the camera is not on. The moment you switch on the camera, they perform like they try to perform.
Yeah.
See, that has been the history so far. Like,
Yeah.
so because they have been growing, saying that you need to perform for camera, you need to act.
Yeah.
You cannot go and explain them the react theory and all those things.
Right. But some people were real. Like there's a scene where there's this car garage he goes, and he was so natural. He's like all one take. He was just being himself. He is not at all. In fact, we suggested him that has he ever tried acting before? Like how come he was so this one?
Actually, he was working. He was welding something, and that welding thing, the lighting, glooming lighting was so good.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that guy, like we just interrupted him, and he's like, okay. Do
That was like
so natural.
That particular scene is very interesting because he won't even take time to see the people and respond.
Yeah.
He'll be like, okay,
Yeah, like that.
this is. So, and the thing is, if he was acting, he will be so focused. If you notice that he was actually working, the welding was naturally happening because it is not like he's welding on the same place.
Right.
It was actually the work is happening.
Yeah, work is happening actually.
And he was like, so I thought like he was unaware that they are shooting that.
There was an artist at that time, no? He would have preferred to show his face.
Correct.
Like this he would have done, and like he would have prominently showed his face on the camera.
Right.
But this guy didn't do that.
Yeah.
Like that thing happened a lot of time.
Yeah.
See, I think these kind of interesting things happens only if you're into this kind of, interesting.
Absolutely.
See, another thing which I wanted to mention is the color grading. Because if most of the time, be it a parallel movie or whatever it is, when you go for a low budget independent movie, the color grading will be off. You can sense that the movie is not that quality. So that is how the difference, because the common people doesn't know it is the color grading.
Between this, okay.
But they feel like this feels like a drama.
Yeah.
It's like a serial kind of
Things. But you, especially certain shots, it was like perfectly cinematic. Although you have not used the too much of the slow-mo things or all that, you can see the cinematic language there in the color grading thing, and the editing was good. So how you brought that?
So thing is that before going to the shoot, we had a knowledge about what camera to use, because most of the scene is happening at night. So what camera suits for night sequence, and what lenses if we choose, and how the colors, like the car is red, and how the background should be, how the car looks on the helium, like halogen lights, and under tungsten light. All these things we were actually planned before, and on the go, it just made us to feel so easy to take the shot, because we already had it in our mind. So wherever we go, we will know where actually the camera like the placement of the character should be, and how much like the frame has to be like only the few feet before after that frame, there will be some other thing. So
Correct.
Precisely we have to maintain that frame, because if we even a little bit of corrections in that frame, we'll completely lose that scene.
Absolutely. For example, the scene where the lead actors, the so-called actress, her car will be there when they come to
Correct.
burn the money. That car will be there. If you, as you mentioned, if you take the frame, this entire place will be very dark, and it will just ruin the whole thing. And you can see in that frame, the particular car will be there. You can see that street lights, and entire sequence will be, you feel like it has been lit only by the street lights. And
But naturally what happens is there will be a car, there is a house, and behind that there is a lot of house.
yes.
Like that it will be. But we had to frame it here, and we had to completely take the scene in different way, different location, and then again we had to shoot that scene.
So it looks like there is no.
So
That's
we had
wonderful.
to match it. We had to
That's how
match
we
it
had to match it,
properly.
yeah.
But that will not take so long. We just have to find where's
Correct.
any other
Yeah.
isolated location is like that.
Correct. Basically, make use of whatever is available.
Yeah.
We are not getting some big lighting van, nothing, no generator. We can't afford all that because it will also create. I mean, people. All these shots, even this action sequence, I doubt the residents even knew something like that was happening. In fact, a lot of scenes, some people like, hey, I have seen this place. When did you guys come and shoot it? So there have been these moments. So yeah,
But
that's how.
see, when you're mentioning all these things, see, if you take a proper filmmaking thing, there will be one person to handle the continuity. Here, everybody has to handle continuity,
Everyone.
and everybody has to have an idea of what exactly is happening, because as you mentioned, you are shooting this in this angle and that angle, but you had to have that clarity about how we are shooting this, how it is going to look in the end, because without having that vision, it is impossible to shoot.
Of course.
So when it comes to a regular movie or something, only one person need to have that vision. Here everybody has to have that vision, because if artist moves it up, it is going to spoil the entire thing.
Sure.
If the camera person, if you fail it up, it's like the frame is not going to. Or if you have no idea about where the people had to be placed and how the lighting is there, it is going to be like, how did you guys actually coordinate and have the same thing? What helped you?
See, everyone has to make something. Everyone were very keen on making movie. That is what actually like everyone was interested on like the budget we have and the artist we have. Like in this budget, we can't make a movie
Correct.
where everyone will talk. So we have to do something out of the box where we can turn heads and make people to talk about a movie. So in that perspective, I think everyone helped each other.
Yeah, it became like a family also over a period of time.
Nobody
that
had
cooperation
an
was
ego
there.
like, okay, why would you ask me about continuity?
Right.
Why would I go and
Yeah, exactly.
drive?
If that is the question, I don't think you can. You cannot proceed.
Right. But I'll also be a little honest here and tell you that there were, I mean, hats off to my editing and DI guy also, where we were seeing some issues. Again, we had a flexibility where probably if there's a need, we were open to kind of, if it's feasible, go and kind of just reshoot that part or see if some patchwork can happen.
Correct.
We were ready to revisit things, improvise during the edit as well. It could be a small thing, like I remember there was this shot where there's a scene where he rolls up a note and he smokes up.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where another character finds a burnt one.
That 100 rupee note. Yeah.
So there, maybe there what you burnt is like half, but here it's like just the top 10%, then the detailing will. So we figure that out during this one. So can we do with something where we just go to a car, we don't need the same actor, just a small close-up we show where we again burn it. So things like that.
Also, the light will be so low that you cannot see the difference in the hands.
Correct. So things like that. So we know our weakness and how do we use that as a strength also. So those kind of things. But even now when I watch, because we've sat on the edit for so many times, I only see mistakes. Oh, this could have. Oh, how come no one noticed this? And the vice versa is also true. Like where something we have put a lot of effort, we think this is brilliant. We're like, how come no one is talking about this? This is like
that happens
so
most of the time.
So that happens most of the time. So that's
especially something which we casually shot.
Yeah.
People will be raving about it. It's like, this is not that great. We did.
Yeah.
That happens.
That happens.
Great. I think we spoke a lot about the intricacies of this movie making and intricacies of guerrilla filmmaking. I think I would like the conversation to move to the next level. I happened to watch this movie with Movie Saints OTT platform. So how you guys approached them, or they approached you, and what are the different things you understood, like what is your experience with this Movie Saints platform? And also I would like to understand how the OTT market is looking for the independent movies.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think by now people know, how things are, in the market. Of course, things have been changing very frequently. Like COVID was a breakthrough period. During COVID, a lot of OTT platforms were acquiring, and they wanted to build a library. So they were basically onboarding all kinds of content. It could be independent films, big budget films, all kinds of movies. What people today might think, hey, how come this movie is on an OTT platform? There was I mean, I'm sorry I have to say this, but that's how it is. I mean, people
Yeah,
feel.
absolutely, yeah.
So, but what happened is over a period of time, if I look at it from a business angle, people now are paying a certain subscription amount. The OTTs are buying, movies, paying say 50 crores, 100 crores, whatever. Even I think, how are they recovering money? Are they burning cash? So it makes a lot of business sense for OTT guys to start strategizing.
Correct.
They'll start being very choosy and very picky about what kind of movies to pick, because they are only going to think in terms of revenue.
Correct.
They are not going to look at, wow, this is a great movie, let me have it. Because great movie, yes, but is it going to bring in subscribers? Is it going to bring in money? That's a big question mark. So a lot of the big OTT platforms, I have clearly seen a shift, be it Netflix, Prime, Z, whatever. In fact, even a Netflix which was known to support indie films, today the scenario has changed. And I thought this is just for Kannada films. Ours was a Kannada indie film. So I was thinking, okay, maybe for Kannada indie films it's bad. Should I have made this movie in Tamil or Malayalam? Did it have a bigger reach? But I realize now that it's true for all indie films, because OTT platforms today are kind of working in the same fashion. They have their strategies are also the way they're pivoting. There was a talk suddenly where people are talking about I mean, by now we know that there are basically broadly three models, right? The TVOD model, where you pay like a movie ticket, rent a movie, or the subscriber model, which Amazon Prime, Netflix, SVOD model, or the AVOD model, which is ad based, like Jio. So it looked like none of these three models were suiting. Maybe some of the TVOD platforms, because again they are not buying your movie. They're not spending. They are like, it's a chance. We put your movie out, maybe just 10 people buy your ticket, you make just 500 rupees. Or if it's 100 people, then you make say XYZ amount of money. But everyone was chasing the subscriber based model, because that's where SVOD model, the Prime and the Netflix and so on. But they clearly stopped because they have a checklist again. They go by data points. Okay, this actor is there. Again, they have category. This actor, this is the kind of movie, or this studio, like a big production studio, this is the kind of budget for this movie. A slightly smaller movie in terms of production value, this will be the budget. So independent movie is nowhere there in the picture. And so that model is ruled out, which means a lot of big platforms are gone. Then the AVOD model again is still coming, and again they have their own issues, and they were also none of them were ready to acquire. And we reached a point like, okay, at least take our movie, let people watch it, let them decide. But even that was not happening. But that's where I think somewhere the TVOD model, some platforms were figuring out, and Movie Saints I think came into the limelight because a particular movie which is now very popular in the indie film circuit and which got picked up by Sony, called Amis. It's an Assamese movie.
Yeah.
They first came on Movie Saints, and that's how I think to make people watch my movie. And I was meeting a lot of people, talking to a lot of people. There was a particular film bazaar where I think even Movie Saints team came. They also their journey is also like an independent film. It's a small team. They also want to, they have some unique USPs. So they wanted, people to kind of try this. But then again, most people would obviously want to chase a Prime or Netflix. I think that's where the middle path is, where even our movie, we were struggling. So we're like, okay, this platform is trying something different. They have a good library. And it's not that they're picking every movie. It's a highly curated platform. They watch the movie. If they like it, if they feel it sets the movie's library, or what their focus is, they pick it up. And that's how I think it was a win-win for both. We also felt it's a platform where it'll be slow. It'll not be like the typical movie where you have a pre-release trailer launch, audio launch, call a lot of press folks. Organically, people watch, I like it. Like say you watched it, you might suggest to two people. It builds slowly, organic. And that is what even we wanted. So that's how we kind of met there, and that's how Movie Sense happened for our movie.
Interesting. See, the beauty about this is today, when you mention about AVOD model, Jio is there, but still Jio is keeping certain movies under the premium SVOD model.
Yeah.
At the same time, the biggest OTT platform for AVOD model is YouTube.
Yeah.
But the problem is, the moment you put it in YouTube, it's out there.
Yeah.
It loses the value.
Yeah.
So you need to establish your value before going into YouTube.
Yeah.
So it is essential for you to keep your movie under a paywall for a certain period of time.
Absolutely.
Because the moment you put it out in YouTube, you cannot actually market it, like make money out of it. Nothing. So I feel like what Movie Sense, I think the process is an elaborate process. That's a good thing. And when you put certain movie under the paywall, Only people who are serious about it watch.
Yeah.
So people who actually pay, they actually indulge in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So that actually adds value to the series. Because if you are actually spending a movie, for example, you see a lot of movies which gained a lot of traction when it was released in theater. But during the OTT releases, people say like this is not that great of a movie and all those things.
Yeah.
It is because they have that full focus on the movie in theater. So they feel that experience is there. So platform like Movie Saints, which is also it's similar to platform like Book My Show.
Right.
You rent for 2 days. You have to watch it. So there will be a lot of efforts taken by the people who are watching that movie to segregate time for that.
Right. Right.
So they don't like, although Movie Sense, I think they have this, if you haven't completed this movie, you can get the cash back or something like that.
Right. Right.
So they have that. But the moment you pay money, you want to make the most out of it. And the thing of saying cashback is there, like they have the option to not finish it.
Yeah.
So this makes the audience take some actions to watch the movie. So whoever who's watching this movie will have an extreme information and extreme opinions.
Right.
Either they like the movie or they hate the movie. It's not a casual viewing like you just like this is okay one time watch. All those things will not be there because they are putting actually efforts to this movie in this platform. This is what I actually liked it because if you remember Book My Show, they released this Wonder Woman movie for 400 rupees. So people are like bashing that movie all along. People who watched through Book My Show. It is because, see, if you see it in the theater, it doesn't feel like it's a bad movie. It's not a bad movie. But you kind of have an expectations in a different way. And rather than spending 200 for a movie in a theater, you're spending 400. So your expectations will be changed.
Right.
So that is what I feel like the pros and cons in terms of these kind of a TVOD platforms.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And another important topic which we need to discuss is like now we know that movie making we have discussed, the platforms and the models available we have discussed. So now we have a platform. So you can choose either TVOD, SVOD or AVOD. But how are you going to market the film? So that is. So what are the things you did actually to market the film and like?
Yeah.
Where do you think? What is the importance of marketing in terms of marketing the Indian film?
Yeah. To be honest, like this is something we are still figuring out because today it's all about social media marketing basically, leveraging influencers, reach and things like that. While making the film, we felt, making the film itself will be a big accomplishment and it will be the biggest challenge. But after making the film, reaching the post-production process and they're facing few challenges, when we got into the actual part, which I call like the business part, the sales part, I realized, creative process was still under our control. We could, if there was something going wrong, we were, we would be responsible for it, or if it was going right also. But this thing, it felt like a whole different ocean and a whole different ball game where it like, and that was one of the reasons why we were not confident of doing a theatrical release, because going for a theatrical release, there were multiple issues, potential censor board issues, then, getting that right show going through, you have to go through a distribution network, which again, if I can say, is like there's a lobby, mafia, whatever, right? And it's not easy. And, it has its own elaborate promotional process. So, okay, even if we do, a limited release, promotion is still the key, because now there's something good which I have. I know it. Maybe I show it to you, you know it, 10 friends I show, they might like it. How will the world know? Somehow they have to know. And then what reaches faster to the world these days? It's through WhatsApp, through social media. Today when you're walking on the road, you're looking at the phone, you're not looking at the walls where the posters are there. So those days are gone where big billboards were there. And people, talking about something, it could be manufactured word of mouth, but it is going through social media. But what we have realized is, again, that calls for a lot of budget. And I realize, we did have some kind of an idea. Okay, come up with a list. Say I'm going for say 10 influencers talk about movies and whom people follow. This might be the budget. We realized that budget was almost 50-60% of the movie budget itself.
Yeah.
So then it got me thinking, and again this has changed so much that today now, like 2 years back, the way people were responding to an influencer telling watch this movie, it has changed. People are like, okay, this guy must be paid.
Yeah.
Things evolve, people get smarter also. So I felt, again, this is where Movie Saints I think is a good fit. We felt like, let's put the movie out there. Let's look at it slowly. Let's not do the typical pre-release movie release things like go everywhere, go around the town, tom-tomming and talking about the movie. Slowly let it build. What we call organic, out of 10 people who watch, maybe 6 or 7 like. Out of 6 or 7, 3 people talk about it. 3 more people come. It will happen slowly, but you will, it's longer and it's authentic. It's there.
Correct.
So our it's basically, it's clear out there. We can't do the regular promotion thing, but we are more harping on banking on the word of mouth, but again word of mouth through by talk. Like for example, you watch the movie. Your podcast is a great platform. You're here. We are talking about various things, and these are all. I mean, like you bringing up previous point which you brought. I could clearly see that you indulged in the movie. You were invested. You know every small scene, what happened, and now as we are talking about it, I'm sure this is going to spark that curiosity in people. At least out of say 1,000 or X number of people watching this podcast, maybe 10-15 will go and watch the movie. Maybe 5 will like it. Those 5 will bring other people. So that chain is slowly building. So this I think it works well for us. I'm not paying the rent of a theater where I have to wait. So I can
absolutely right.
Yeah. So that's how it is.
And the thing is, like as a director, you have to have this thing to entirely work on the the promotional plans and all those things. As a cinematographer, how do you feel about this? Like, okay, this circus is happening. What is my role in this? Should I actually contribute anything, or like how do you actually feel when all this hangama of marketing is happening?
Thing is that after the film edited and got its final version, many people actually saw the movie and really liked it. So because I was in Chennai that time. So all the crew members were in Bangalore and I was in Chennai, and I got involved in another movie where I had to go to Nainital. So it's in one of the very far from almost like when in Corona time I was in the edge of China. So I regularly used to call people. I used to ask them what's going on, what's happening next, and all these things were communication. All these things were happening, and mostly we used to have these con calls. So all the people will have discussion, and that con call will go for an hour, like that. So, but I had an idea what is happening and how many people are watching and what the reviews we are having. So that thing, like just to have some
keep yourself updated.
Yeah, updated and some emotional support for them. So don't lose hope.
Yeah,
so something
especially
is happening. Let us push it as far as we can. Just, there was at some time we just felt okay, it is getting too late. Why don't we just move to next movie or just do something else? But few people who saw the movie, the reaction, the thing, like the excitement they gave us, that thing actually kept pulling us to bring this movie out. So because this was a long time process, it didn't happen just like okay, we went 30 days of shoot, then editing, then okay, we are ready to show the show. But it was not like that, because every time we need to plan everything. Budget was there, and all the artist call sheets, like availability, because everybody had another work to do. So they had to stop that. They had to take permission, and they come here without their knowledge. Like people didn't know. Even the parents don't know they are acting.
Yeah. They're like in between. He's got a full-time IT job. Lunch break is between 1 to 2. Okay, half an hour can you adjust here? Tell you're going out for tea. Come, finish the shot and then head back.
That's wonderful.
Because they're all friends. We can't afford to have big, forget big actors, and no junior artists also.
We talk in that way where they can't say no.
Yeah, absolutely. See, this is where the personal rapport comes.
Personal rapport. Yeah.
So I just wanted to extend a bit on that question. As you mentioned, the wait for this movie was long. Because I think the trailer was posted some ages ago in G Music.
Yeah.
And I actually watched the trailer after watching that movie.
Okay.
So I was just looking for, is there any trailer or something available? So after that I was actually looking. When it comes to marketing or marketing plan, most of the time it's like, okay, I'm having this release on so and so date. Let's plan pre-promotions this, post-promotion this. After that, move on. Now you don't have an idea about when it is releasing. And now it is released, but it is released in a TVOD platform where like how much you market, how much it will go, and it is a perennial process.
Yeah.
So at what point you feel like, what is the limit you have in terms of marketing, and like when is the point you feel like you can move to the next? Do you have any sort of numbers or some sort of quantification of the marketing efforts you put for platforms like this? I'm asking this question because especially when it comes to, if you go to Instagram and see, there are a lot of people say like, you just have to create a digital product, sell that, how much you market it, it will sell. You can make so much money and all those things. Literally, this is something like that. You have a digital product. The way you market it, it will sell, and you will get some money.
Right.
So that is a pro and con. The pro is that if you put some marketing effort, you will get some revenue out of it.
Right.
At the same time, it is not something like a small digital product where you make an ebook or a course to sell. This is something which is very passionate to you, which is close to both of you, and you made a movie out of it. So you cannot treat it like a product to market and sell. So you need to move to the next project. So at what point, or like, do you have any kind of an outline of, till this I will be doing all those promotions, I will associate myself with this project, and this is the time I had to move on?
Right. Yeah, I think somewhere that line has to be drawn because we have done a lot of trial and error. Like for example, you mentioned the trailer was released ages back. At that time, it felt like, okay, movie's taking some time, but it felt like, oh, you should always keep the buzz of the movie even before the release, because I think some movies are doing that. They would talk about such a movie is going to the floors and things like that. So we just, whatever the movie was not shot completely. So whatever content was there, we created a teaser from that and just uploaded it to Z Music, thinking, okay, what the reaction. It was pretty decent. But and then we released song after the movies, and so things like that we were trying. Even now, there's so much of figuring out that is happening. Like I realized one thing, for example, maybe a post about your movie on Instagram or Facebook might have say 10,000 likes and say 100 comments. It will not translate to, there'll not be even be one person. In fact, there might be chances that some of your best friends might say, hey, all the best, great. A lot of people hear this,
but they don't even watch the movie.
They'll not watch the movie. They might be it might be some guy whom you would have never expected. He would have read some comment and probably he would have watched. Or maybe, of course, you're forcing your brother or someone like, hey, tell your friend also, send him this link over WhatsApp and he'll watch. So, somewhere I've started feeling that, now it's reached a point where, you might pump in a lot of money because again, it's evolving, right? So, it might not translate to actual views. But having said that, should I stop doing it? No. Because somewhere that thing will be there. Oh, if I'm not...
If he did, it would have worked.
It would have worked. So that thing is there. But somewhere I have to draw the line. Like, for example, now, somewhere that closure is slowly coming because at least whoever has been watching, there has been like steady, like every day at least one or two people are writing. We are seeing active reviews on IMDb. The ratings have been steady. And one good thing was when we were waiting, we didn't know how marketing works. For validation's sake, I just sent it to few film festivals. This is not a typical film festival movie, but surprisingly it got selected in one. For more validation, I started sending 2 more, 3 more. Some places, of course, it was rejected, like say Busan or some, but some good, like Dada Saif Phalke Film Festival, where a movie like 777 Charlie or Sitaramam or Bhediya, along with those movies, it was screened and it won an award also. So these kind of, and when we started sharing those posts, I didn't do any influencer marketing there, but within our own, first circle is our own circle. They're like, oh, this must be nice, because people will be, your friends will be like, hey, I know this guy, I've seen him since college, what will he make a movie?
Correct, right? Absolutely.
But now that validation is actually helping. And, that translates into some views at least. So things like that. So even now, I recently got this information that, Ahmedabad International Film Festival, a prestigious one, has selected the movie and they're screening it. So maybe few people in Ahmedabad will watch it, and then they might talk to few people. Sometimes I get random messages on Instagram, hey, I watched your movie, and then they liked it. So this is how I think organic is working, but some bit like I'll draw the line, like maybe the budget is say 50,000. I've already spent say 45,000, max 5,000. Now I'll be more strategic how to use that 5,000. I'm just giving numbers here, but there's a point. That's how I quantified. Yeah.
Right. For director, it is pretty clear about it. As a technician, where do you see yourself in terms of this entire saga of marketing?
I have no clear idea about how the people work on marketing, because our work is like whenever we go to the shoot,
It will be done.
it will be done there, and we have to be very conscious on that particular
Short and
on that particular events, like that particular days of shoot, and after that the whole pressure is of course on the director side,
Director,
because
yes.
of Cat. He is the one who's leading the movie from the line to the whole thing, to how the movie is gonna like the output. So in that I don't think so cameraman will have so much of work in terms of marketing and all.
marketing, yeah.
Only thing is that you need to show the glorified way. Even if you shoot in a very small budget, the output should not look like a small budget. At all.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that is where the.
So that is one of the
cinematographers,
reasons I actually
marketing
thought of
technique
understanding
is-
it.
We should show it. We should glorify the sequence, and we should show it in a different way. Even if we spend some a crore of budget in the movie, we should show it as like we have spent some 5 crores. That is
Absolutely.
the marketing thing, like a cinematographer does.
Yeah, that is very interesting point, because like you actually elevate the
Yeah.
worth
Yeah.
of the product.
Yeah.
Because see, one of the reasons I actually wanted to have this conversation is like it doesn't feel like an independent film. See, by saying this, people who are actually going to watch the film like, no, it was a small budget film only. I don't feel like it's a huge movie. Yeah, it is a small budget film. I'm saying that it doesn't feel like a part-timer who made the film with the equipments that was available.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Because
true.
we have seen that kind of movies. And some so-called movies which they say with some professional actors, even that kind of feels like a low budget, and you
Yeah.
feel like you are watching a serial.
Yeah.
That standard you were able to bring it in the technicalities, that actually interested a lot.
Yeah, there
So
are-
you are actually your marketing starts in the beginning of the movie itself.
beginning itself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Beginning itself.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are many people who want to make this kind of movies actually, but they don't know how to start. And luckily, the thing is that we are actually like we showed them a path. Like this is how a movie, guerrilla film or an independent movie can be made. And as also we have got successful in it, because how many awards totally we have got, like
50 plus.
almost
Yeah.
those many awards we have got, and we never expected at all these many awards, these many recognitions we gonna get. And this thing will help for newcomers, like a new door has been opened, because the budget what we had, no, like this budget, like a 3 friends can be shared this budget. So in that budget, if you want to make a movie, just have this as an example.
Yeah.
This thing will be an example for people who want to make different kind of movies, parallel movies,
Understood.
like that, not the normal like subject oriented, hero oriented, nothing like that. There's a movie which keeps you entertained and which keeps you like watch the whole movie for 2 hours, like that.
I'm not a big fan of calling it parallel cinema, art house cinema, and different thing. But the thing is, if it is interesting, it's a commercial cinema.
Okay.
If it's interesting, see, you're saying commercial cinema because it value for money.
Yeah.
So if something is capturing my interest for 2.5 hours or 2 hours or whatever that time, it's a commercial cinema.
Yeah, commercial is basically which can be sold in the market. That is called commercial.
So the thing is, I'm just wanted to bring in some random example. So technically, on paper, a story about a guilt of a person is not a big budget movie. So he did something very bad, and he is captured by guilt, and he's just showing the world that he's guilty. So this is not a big budget story, but Christopher Nolan made huge movie out of it. So on paper it's different,
Yeah.
but how he made those movies,
Sure. Perspective changes.
Absolutely right.
and you don't see these kind of movies as a event movie.
Right.
But you're going there, there is no fights, there is too much philosophy, and you enjoy that movie. See, that is where his brand helped, because even when making Interstellar or Inception, he emphasized too much on the kind of the real effects rather than going for a CG.
Right.
So that kind of things got appreciated. It all became a huge thing because he made Dark Knight. So he created a brand for himself.
Yeah.
So that carried these things, because if a new filmmaker is making this, it might not actually get
It might
that.
not sell
Yeah.
because whatever Christopher Nolan does, it is like it becomes a selling point.
Because it is Christopher Nolan doing that.
That's a brand, yeah. Exactly like you said, if a new filmmaker is doing exactly the same thing, would it reach that level? I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, because there is this movie called Primer.
Mhm.
So it is a what would say, time travel movie. It's as confusing as Memento.
Okay.
It's a wonderful movie. Only 2 to 3 leads, like part-time movie makers, they made it, and it goes to an extent like they make some calculations about time travel. It will be perfect calculations because the director is an science major or maths major. So they went to that detailing. It's a very good movie, but it didn't make the filmmaker a great one. Of course, after that he made another movie that was a wonderful, Upstream Color. That you can see that it's an independent movie, but it has so much, rich in terms of filmmaking.
Right.
But again, it's like it didn't make him another Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
And also there is this independent filmmaker called Xavier Dolan from Canada. He was making too many independent movies, and I think last year or sometime he announced that he's retiring from making movies because people are not watching movie. Why should I make the movie?
Right.
He was so depressed about it. So again, this comes back to how much I should market it, what according to me is a success of the movie. Because the good thing about being a technician is, you know that this is the result you are expecting, you got the result, safe. But owning that movie, especially being a director, the failure of a movie is like,
Yeah.
it ends your
hits hard.
career.
Yeah, it hits hard.
It hits hard. It's very personal. Because it's like your baby, and
Because at the end of the day, even if anybody in the group, anybody in the crew misses out, it comes on to you.
Yeah.
The responsibility lies onto you, because when an editor does a huge, wonderful job, he'll praise the editor. Especially, I was talking with you regarding that, wonderful camera and the color grading. I was speaking in specifics. But overall, if the movie is failure, we'll just talk about the director. So that again is like the question of like what actually brings you that brand, and is it important to market the movie or market the people?
Yeah. Good question, for which even I am still, either it's, it is there. I think it's a mix, or it's very case to case also. But one thing is sure, marketing has to be there. Now you want to market it via using the people there or just the content, or you wait, because sometimes what also happens is, let's say now, like I've watched Christopher Nolan's, I think, first film, which he made as a student.
Following.
Right?
Following,
right? I loved it, and a lot of people have revisited or gotten to know that movie after obviously Christopher Nolan became a brand. So probably sometimes your movie also gets that upliftment where you made some project today, maybe 3 years or 5 years down the line you end up becoming a brand.
True.
And you made some great movie, and there are already 3 movies behind, then people actually go revisit, and then it ends up becoming probably a cult classic.
Cult classic,
It's
yes.
happened with from like Guru Dutt's Pyasa, I was told that's what happened. Like when it released, it was a box office
It was a
disaster.
disaster,
But
yeah.
now it's hailed as one of the all-time greats. And of course, sadly, Guru Dutt is no more. So this has happened with many
I
filmmakers.
think in terms of art, that is the case. Like all the great artists, they're not celebrated when they are
When
like
they are
well,
So that happens.
That happens. But I hope that doesn't happen in this case.
Again,
we try our best.
I'm just extending the question. When it comes to marketing, and we talk about extending all those things, and you talk about support system. For independent movies, is there a community or support system that is happening in terms of all the regions? Because there are filmmakers in all the regions, be it Hindi or Kannada or Tamil. But is there active community which is pushing each other to succeed?
From an intention viewpoint, there are communities. Like even I'm a part of an indie film community where folks from all over India are there. But what happens is it's like somewhere it's reached a point today, all the more today, where you feel like you need that big push. There has to be that big name or a big figure who can pull you out. Because imagine now I myself am struggling. There's another guy who, as an indie filmmaker, he's struggling. I might at the best give you motivation. I might give you one review on IMDb or watch a movie, but how much can I push you? And same thing with her. If we join hands and we start moving ahead, not immediately, but down the line, that probability is there. So with that hope, yes, there are communities. They sometimes work in silos. I have also seen that graph where you think, okay, let's join hands and do something. And for few days, that engine is hot and running, and you guys are all pumped up. And then again, it goes down, and then it, somewhere that this one it breaks. I've also seen cases where sometimes, it happens where someone. These cases are actually there where someone is like, okay, I myself am struggling. Maybe I have a potential to help you, right? But I will not help you because it could be whatever, ego, jealousy reasons. I'll give you a very simple example. Like say now we have this thing called as airborne rights for movies.
Yeah.
So there are particular airlines which have a criteria, either genre or language. So I know an indie filmmaker, and he's helped me, or we help out. Like any contacts, I'll help you. So sometimes I get to know that he's say taking only Hindi movies, and I've made a Kannada film, and this filmmaker has made a Hindi movie. If I'm a guy, as part of a community, we help out. But I've also seen cases where they don't give you the contacts even though they have. They're like, okay, I'm struggling. How can you kind of go up? So, I mean, that's true everywhere. So that's there here. So it's a mix, but they're not. And even if they unite, I'm not. They've tried, but it's like, again, a lot of people who are themselves lost and confused. How will they together? Also, they're not going to end up being that guiding force. Maybe they can down the line, but at this point it is looking a little gloomy, and that's what is making people even more disappointed. So even I have been a part of such groups. We have discussions. Their momentum is there at it, but after a certain peak, it just
it happens. Everything goes through the normal.
And looks like this problem is universal, because I realize even guys sitting in Nigeria or US, UK. I thought, okay, it's only first in Kannada, then in India, then I realized it's universal. We're all cribbing about the same thing. Netflix is not taking my movie, then marketing is a concern. Again, same problem. Hey, we know today there's this agent-driven system where the system is such that they take a certain cut, they push your movie. Same problem, agents cheating you. Like out of 10 agents, maybe 7 or 8 are doing that, where you lose money and everyone is complaining the same thing.
Yeah.
So one small help that happens is we create a small page where we warn, okay, don't go to this agent. I've been cheated by him. So these kind of small things are there.
Yeah.
Or they like, okay, award model, for example, I might not be able to watch a movie, but I'll play it on the laptop so that you get some income. So these small things are there. They help also to an extent, but that's about it, the way I see it. Yeah.
Great. Wonderful. So I think we have covered a lot of interesting topics.
Absolutely.
So before the closing remark, I just want you to know what are the things you are now working on? What are the future projects? Or have you moved on, or like still?
I think we both are now, there's this documentary we are shooting, we've just started. I think it also gives us the freedom to work on look at different aspects. So this is an interesting project where we'll also, it will challenge us also, because we are still trying to figure, and documentary we don't have a fixed screenplay story, and we are, it's not a very conventional documentary also, it's based on, music. So we are collaborating on that, but we also do have plans to work on a next draft where we are just bouncing ideas. We are looking at a different kind of a horror film. People after watching 188 have been pushing, because if people who watch the movie, they see there is a scope for a sequel or a continuation of that. So there are a lot of discussions, at least bouncing of ideas on a sequel of 188. So yeah, these are ideas we've discussed, but the plan is to start working In my free time, I do write. So there's a draft of a sports drama also ready, but doesn't look like the right time because again we would need some funding for that. So, but yeah, maybe these 3-4 ideas are there.
Great. So as a closing remark, if you have anything to say.
About anything you particularly you want to
No, how you felt, and if you have something to say.
Actually, you asked about our next movie, what is going to happen, no? After 188, no, it give me a different kind of sense. Actually, what you gonna do? Like you gonna go and make another movie, commercial movie, where you're gonna be one among the cameramen who's working. Because even if you see in cinematographers who are actually well versatile will keep getting the projects, and there are a lot of cinematographers who is still struggling for the project. So after 188, I just felt like, okay, what is your next step? How are you gonna move? So that's what we actually keep talking whenever we call. How we gonna people have some perspective. I think so. So how our next movie would be if we do the same kind of movie like what others do. Like people will not have the
Correct.
good remark on us. So that is where actually there is certain thing how we gonna place our cards there.
Yeah.
So horror, we just felt like one thriller has happened. Another thriller we are not gonna do. What's gonna have more creative sense and more interesting for people? Okay, let's see horror, but also we are not confirmed with that actually.
See, horror is a very interesting place because it gives you opportunity to go on high end where there will be lots and lots of effects. But at the same time, there is movies like Bhutakalam where it is the entire situation is horror. You don't need
you don't need some grand.
There's something dreamy. Bhutakalam was completely different. So that's what these kind of movies are giving us a little more lessons to learn. Like how you gonna do. So but we have to start it early, and we're gonna start it early as soon as possible. But as of now, we are just planning to make it as better as possible, and we are just brainstorming, talking to each other. We are watching different kind of movies regardingly on the subject wise, and we are sharing thoughts about that. So I hope we're gonna make something new and wonderful again.
Great. It was actually a wonderful session talking to you, and because I wanted to speak to you in detail about the process, in detail about how the entire industry works, and because we have been seeing how the T-Word, A-Word, S-Word is working. But when it comes to a big name movie, the entire marketing is different. The entire market is different. But when it comes to an independent movie, I want to understand how actually, what is the motivation behind it, because there is entire, right from the first shot, it's only uncertainty. When you're shooting the movie, it will be whether the movie gets made is uncertain. The moment you get it done, will be able to sell is uncertain. After we sold, we'll be able to get the money back is uncertain. And then what are we going to do next in the career is uncertain. I'm not saying it's in a bad way, but that's how volatile the market is.
True.
So how we are going to go about it, despite all that, I want to, congratulate you on keeping your, the passion alive and moving ahead. Because among the sea of uncertainty, you're talking about what's next. So that is something very brave and very great thing to talk. And thank you so much for this. You have traveled a long way.
No. It was a wonderful podcast. It was actually, even we got some interesting insight, and it was really good discussing all these things. It was not just in terms of the diversity of the topics, but it actually shows how deep you went into watching the movie, and then you're understanding the market. Where even as we are discussing, in fact, it's also triggering a lot of things can we do this? So which is a good thing. So it was a very healthy, and it was a great discussion, I feel.
Thank you, Pradeep, and thank you, Sourabh, for coming.
Thanks a lot, Gopalji.
Being there.
Really nice. So much. Thanks.
Yes, thank you so much. So this is the end of this episode. I think it will be interesting for you to learn about this movie. I will add the links of the movie in the description. You can check out. I think around 180 rupees or something. it's worth it. You can just check out, and probably after listening to this podcast, you might see a different version of the movie. And please do, text me if my opinion is wrong, or if you feel that I'm overhyping the movie. Please feel free to share. I'll be open to the criticisms and feedback. And thank you once again, and see you in another interesting episode.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.